want to move into our guest this week is one of my closest friends. Um, Tom Westfall has been such a huge part of my life in the last 10 to 15 years. In New York City, he really personifies the thing that the theme of this episode is going to be about this week, which is a life of hockey. He has had that youth that youth upbringing. He's had that college upbringing. Everything's kind of built around his family, which is pretty great. He played minor pros. He's coached minor pros, and he's a beer league legend here in New York City, and he plays around the area. Um, a lot of guys know him. A lot of people know him as Westy, and everyone understands how important and how awesome and how great of a friend he is, whether he's punched you in the face in a minor league game or whether he's lifted you up from pretty hard times in your life. Um, he and his family have done some really great stuff. So we're gonna move on to our talk with Tom Westfall. Oh, we have a true legend on the pod today. Um, the Meadville legend, the Penn State legend, coached and played in Danbury for many years. Known for the slap shot fake move in beer league. Um, Amazing husband, father, and brother. Tom Westfall, aka Westy, welcome to Cross Ice Pass.
Hey, how you doing, Steve?
You know, as good as I can. I got our old jerseys that when we played together behind me to
I,
make
I
it feel
see that.
warm.
I love it. I love seeing some old sweaters, and they bring back good memories. So we always had fun.
Yeah, some like kind of maybe a little shady memories, but you know, whichever
Here and there.
wherever we get.
Yeah. No, we've
um,
always played hard on and off the ice.
yeah, no, for sure. One thing that I always start Tom with is I always start to ask what your fondest hockey memory is in your life, and it can be current, it could be in the past, it could be anything.
There's so many, but I think the easy one for me is winning. As you can see, my hat. Um, Played at Penn State. I was a captain my senior year in 1998, and we won the ACHA national championship. So to me, that's a pretty easy answer, just because anytime you get to play collegiately, playing college hockey is amazing, but winning a championship, it's a whole other ball of wax. So that was really my getting a ring for the first time was pretty awesome.
And I know it was a few minutes ago. How many diamonds come on that ring?
I have to look back. I think you know probably maybe like six. I think.
Fair, fair. Yeah, not like nowadays where it's got like spinning wheels and stuff, right? So,
Right. No. This was actually it's pretty cool. That year we won. The football team won. Um, they were like a shared national champ with Nebraska, and we actually have the same exact rings as the football team. So that was. I think we got a better deal when they won, and then we sort of hooked our wagon to their train. So
oh
anyway,
yeah, no, that's
it's pretty
great.
cool. So every
Uh,
time I go back, actually, because unfortunately I've gained so much weight, everyone thinks I'm a 98 football player.
so yeah, they're like, well, the ring seems the same. Um,
Right,
cool. That's a pretty good memory. I mean, I don't have any rings, so other than a high school ring that I can't fit into anymore, so that's pretty much
right.
it. Um, I kind of want to
And
get
correction, I think it was the 90. They were the 94 national champs. That was my freshman year, but we mimicked the ring after their ring. Um, so 4 years later. But anyway, same point.
yeah,
You get the idea.
yeah. I kind of want to go chronologically just because The theme of this is kind of a life of hockey, and you've kind of
Sure.
dug into all the pieces of it. So I'm also curious because being a kid from Michigan, one of the three major hockey states in the country, I'd like to start with kind of figuring out when you kind of started your hockey career in Pennsylvania and what was it like playing in Pennsylvania versus maybe the other three states?
Right. Great question. I started. You obviously know my older brother Steve, also same name, shares your name, but he was a player, a high school player in Meadville, Pennsylvania. And then growing up, we would go watch the high school games. So I always wanted to mimic my older brother, but that's how I got into hockey. Started when I was 5, and I think Pennsylvania hockey has gotten a lot better now. And I know you have some other guests in the podcast coming down the pike that can also speak to that. But at the time, it was nothing like Michigan or Minnesota or Massachusetts. I mean, you grew up in a hockey hotbed. I mean, there's something in the water in Waterford, right? Like, so there's a lot, so many awesome hockey cities and towns throughout Michigan, Minnesota, and Massachusetts. Meadville, Pennsylvania was not a hockey hotbed, but it did later. We got a coach from Canada that came down, Jamie Plunkett, and he currently I think he has the most wins of any high school coach in the country. So we did get we sort of got to that that status of being a good hockey town in a good hockey state, but not nearly as good as what you grew up with.
Yeah, no, that's a good segue into. I really want to ask about your Penguins Cup championship in '92 over the '91 champ Armstrong, and I hear that you
Right.
scored some big goals in the second and third period to win 9-5 in the championship game. Anything stand out from that time as a Meadville Bulldog?
I think, like I said before, winning championships on any team is pretty amazing. I think that was the one thing that stood out. The other thing was we got to play where the Penguins played, so it was the old igloo. I mean, winning there is cool. Winning a championship there is super cool. I remember that year, I believe Yager and Straka just got there. They watched our game. We have video footage of our game, and someone panned up and saw Yager up there, and he's not much older than me, but it was pretty cool to have him watching our game. So he was at that game. So
So
he got to see.
they were the ones that were there. That's why you had a big second and third period because you got these guys off on the glass watching you.
Yeah, exactly. They were actually way up in the nosebleeds. But the funny thing was, I always joke around and say, Yager learned to use his body so well by watching my game, um, the '92 state championship. But that was actually the Penguins Cup. Um, we was it the Penguins Cup? So that was the East. We that was we won we won the West. We had to play the state championship after that. So we played another team out of Philly for the state championship. Monsignor Bonner was the team's name. But anyway, so we beat Armstrong Central in Pittsburgh, and then we went to Philadelphia and we beat Armstrong. Or
Well,
sorry, we went to Philadelphia and beat. Actually, we played them back to back years. So we played them in Pittsburgh, Monsignor Bonner in '92 and '93. We played them at Philly in the stadium at their home rink. So, but
that
yeah, we
was
won back to back state titles. So that was pretty cool. And then that sort of catapulted me to some junior hockey, and then on to Penn State. But
did
you
you
know
the year you
the
played
story.
juniors was that your senior year you played or did you have a year between high school and college before you played in junior?
Basically, that year was my PG year, my postgraduate. So I did grade 13 in Canada. I don't even know if they have it anymore, but they used to have, instead of 12 grades, there was grade 13. It was called Ontario Academic Credit. So you actually went to your freshman year of college in high school. So I did that. I got college credit while going to high school in Canada, and I got to play a full season of junior hockey for the Smiths Falls Bears. The year prior, during my senior year, I did go up there and I tried out, made a team in Ottawa called the Nepean Raiders, and that coach ended up leaving the P and going to Smiths Falls, and then he brought me the next year. So that's how I knew about it. And actually, that league, when I said that we had a high school coach, Jamie Plunkett, that came down from Canada and was working locally at Allegheny College, he was also our high school coach. He was the one that got me linked up with going up there and playing hockey in Ontario and being close to Ottawa. So it was really fun.
Having this interview is perfect because I've known you for so long, and I know that there's questions in here or things that are like I never knew that. That's one
Right.
way I've heard about your high school. I've heard about your college. I knew a little bit about Smiths Falls, but I didn't hear about the kind of switch there. But when you
Yeah.
were from jumping out of Pittsburgh in the states, how was it living in Canada for a while?
It was fun. It was crazy. Much different. You don't realize how different it is. One of the biggest things was trying to figure out how to open up a bag of milk. In Canada, they have bags of milk instead of cartons. And I lived with a billet host family. And one day the father came in. His name was Dan. I said, "Hey, Mr. Dan, how?" I had a straw and I was trying to poke the bag like it was a Capri Sun. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Trying to get this milk." He goes, That's not like that's not like a personal bag of milk. That's like for the family. You gotta put it in a pitcher and cut the corner off." So that was funny. Um, this little things, like Smarties, the candy in the U.S. are those like little tarts, but in Canada, Smarties are like M&Ms. So that was confusing. And they also call corn dogs pogo sticks. So
and
I
and
don't know.
and you get to drink a
Yeah,
little earlier too, so I'm sure that probably helped a bit.
yeah. You got there was a I was legal there. I believe it was 18 or 19, but I was that age, so we could definitely go out after. But I was always so tired from school and hockey, especially in that league. It was a very hard league that we didn't really get out that much. But the times we did get out, we had fun.
One thing I was going to ask you about your junior year at Smiths Falls was because I knew after college you had a little a little fight in you, and I know you fought a bit in the minors. Did you fight at all in juniors?
Yeah, a few. No, I wouldn't say they were good ones, but I was one of five Americans in that league that year. I think we only had five Americans. Most of the players were all Canadian. So yeah, I had to stick up for myself a bit. Definitely, I can't exactly remember how many. Probably like three or four fights that year. Um, it's just part of the game up there.
Right.
But that was a lot different. That was actually a lot different than high school hockey, where we had some fights, but it wasn't so deliberate. It wasn't so. They're good at it, is what it comes down to. I mean, most of the best fighters in the league, you would probably agree, are Canadians. There's some Americans, but they know what they're doing. Put it that way.
Yeah, yeah. The one thing I was going to ask you about that too, just because I know it kind of moves from your juniors to your college year, is that at the time back then, coming from college to the NHL or coming from college to pro wasn't really like a big thing. It was like you go from juniors to pro.
Sure.
What made
Yeah.
that? What was that? What made that decision to jump over to Penn State?
Also, going back to just my family, my brother, and being a Pennsylvania in-state, um, student, I think that helped. But my brother played at Penn State. He was a captain there 10 years, 8 years before me. So, I wanted to sort of follow in his footsteps. So that was one of the ways that, it's. I think anyone, if you grow up in Michigan, you want to play for Michigan or Michigan State. If you grow up in Minnesota, you probably want to play for Minnesota. Boston area in Massachusetts, you have Harvard and BC and BU. I think for a Pennsylvania kid to play college hockey at Penn State, it's promising. And like I said, it's a family thing for us, right? My brother played there. I knew the coach really well, Joe Batista. Um, he was just a great dude and a great mentor, and he ended up going to the Sabres after Penn State to be the one of the director of hockey operations there. But he made it. He went from being a high school player in Pittsburgh himself to the Penn State coach. He also played at Penn State before my brother's years as a player, and he came back as a coach, and then he went to Buffalo. So it was a no brainer for me to go there. I knew the coach, I knew the systems, I knew the school. It was just something I was really proud of.
Yeah, stuff back then that you don't hear about so much. People are willing to move so far away, and then you got a coach that's nearby. Even Smiths Falls was not entirely so far away in Canada, so like everything kind of was tight knit, and that was the way it was when I was
Right.
growing up too.
It was. I mean, I could hear you say that. Meanwhile, I remember the bus rides. I would ride a Greyhound from Pittsburgh up to like Fort Erie, and I would switch from Greyhound to the Greyhound of Canada called Voyageur, and ride another however many miles, so or kilometers up there. So it was a long trip, on a bus when I would go back and forth. It probably took 14 hours to be honest with you, but like you said, it's still all East Coast. Where I grew up in Meadville to Penn State is only 3 hours. Smith Falls was up really close to Ottawa, so that was pretty far actually. But you know, like you said, East Coast is easier than flying to Alaska or something crazy,
Right.
to play what you love. So
Yeah. Well, that kind of segues into a good spot about Penn State and knowing that you and your brother were kind of legends back with the ACHA, and I know that now Penn State is a big Div 1 school. But kind of looking through your career there, I know your freshman year, you guys went to the ACHA championship and lost to Ohio University.
yeah,
And then in your senior year, you guys got a big national championship win, and you were wearing the C then. So, um, and the thing that's great that when I look at the Penn State kind of history is that really opened the floodgates for that ACHA Penn State team. They played a lot of finals after you left,
yeah,
and which totally led to this big Division One upgrade.
yeah.
And I'm kind of curious about that time at Penn State and how that felt to win. I know you said that was your biggest hockey memory, so let's dig a little deeper there.
Yeah. No, it's good question. I think because of this coach Joe Batista, he envisioned going. He wanted it to be Division One, right? And there was a thing called Title IX, gender equity. So we didn't have a women's team at the time. We had some donors. The alumni, as you know, the alumni association is strong. You played alumni games for Penn State with that jersey, because I remember bringing you in to play for our team with another couple Penn State guys. But anyway, we played at Chelsea Piers, then we went up to watch Michigan Penn State play at Madison Square Garden. But the point to that is there was a way to get there. They wanted to be playing at Madison Square Garden. They wanted to be playing Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, Minnesota, all the Big Ten schools. So that vision was there, and I think Joe Batista had that vision, and he wanted to put together. We were like the first group that a lot of guys weren't just high school guys; they came from junior A hockey, and I think we were the precursor to what they are now, right? Like, so we were sort of the ones that opened up the floodgates, if you will. We won some championships, and it was awesome being a part of a grassroots idea, if you will. So super great question. It's like one of those things that you just don't think about a lot. But yeah, we had a lot of junior A players that came there. I believe my freshman year we had 14 rookies. By the end, I think we had 6 or 7 seniors that made it through. So we had a lot of underclassmen my senior year, and we did not. We made it so they felt invited. They were part of the team. We didn't do any of the hazing stuff that you read or hear about. We were very, we needed those guys to buy into what we were doing. So we treated them like gold. And I always say it starts from the top with the coach, Joe Batista. We had an assistant coach from Providence that came in, Scott Balboni, and he was really just a good X's and O's guy. And he really came in and came up with some good drills for us. I know you're a coach, so you appreciate that. But those two men were very influential in my life and my hockey life, and I think that was like you said, that opened the floodgates.
Yeah, and for the listeners, just so you know, the captain of Penn State And kind of what Tom's West mentioning here, he still does this stuff. He plans everything for us. He makes sure that we're on the ice and we're always playing. So that leadership value that Westy has never left. So in fact,
Right.
the fact that he was probably close to the coaches sometimes more than the players probably says that that helped him coach as well. So that kind of
Yeah.
and Big Ten hockey. If you've never been to a Michigan game or a Penn State game currently, Penn State fans are some of the loudest. Michigan fans are some of the loudest, and highly recommend going to see those two teams play in their home arenas. After college, I knew that you ended up playing some minor league hockey, but was that really your hockey plan after you left college?
I mean, I think every kid that puts on a pair of skates wants to play pro hockey. I didn't necessarily think I would be a good candidate. I pretty much overachieved my whole career, really. If you think about it, I was never the fastest skater, had the hardest shot. I just had a lot of heart, and I loved the game. Um, but yeah, no. What happened was actually a friend of mine from school was an agent. He became an attorney and was a sports agent. Tyler Ridgway is the guy's name, and he just called me up and said, "Hey man, I need to I need some athletes. Can I just take your resume and start trying to post it, your hockey resume, and trying to post it to get you a team?" And sure enough, he got me onto a team called the El Paso Buzzards, and I went and played a few games for them at the sort of halfway. I got there in December, January, and played a little bit. And it was funny that was weird because between the games that I played there was a rodeo. So our home, I believe the home the barn there in El Paso had a rodeo that was like 3 or 4 weeks long. So we played. I was there for a couple months. I only played a little bit of hockey because there was a rodeo there. But either way, it was fun playing double A level. And then I also had a job offer back in Pittsburgh. So took the job offer back in Pittsburgh for Westinghouse. The division was Cutler Hammer, and it now owned by Eaton Corporation. But anyway, so I took a full-time job there, came back to Pittsburgh, and then they had a single A team bouncing around York, Pennsylvania. So I jumped in that league and was playing a little bit. And then all my friends were telling me about this town that I couldn't. They're just like, if you want to play pro hockey in a town, it's crazy. It's Danbury, Connecticut. And I'd been emailing the guys there. I talked to a bunch of players. They were playing for the Danbury Trashers. And I was going to up there to. I've been emailing them. I was at the very least I was going to get a PTO, a player tryout agreement to try out with the Trashers. And there's a documentary that is floating around on that team, but I never really got. I mostly just talked to players who were on the team. They were sort of recruiting me up, and by the time I got there, that team had folded, and then they brought the Danbury Stars, in for the next year, sort of to fill that void, and then they became the Danbury Whalers and other teams. Now they're the Danbury Hat Tricks, and they won the league last year. So anyway, that town is a great town. It's the best hockey town you could possibly play for. I played there for a couple seasons. I coached there. I just love everything about it. So
When
um,
you were on your way to Danbury, had you been fighting a bit in El Paso and these other locations before you went to Danbury? Was it
yeah,
was that part of your game by then?
a little bit. Yeah, no, I definitely in the league when I played in York, PA, I fought a lot. I guess that year. Some of these leagues, if you follow Hockey Database or Hockey DB or other pro elite prospects, not all the leagues I played in are on there, but the bruises and the bumps and the broken noses are there. So, yeah, no, I had a lot of physical play in those leagues, and then when I got to Danbury, I was one of the bigger, stronger guys on the team, so I stuck up for our players.
Yeah,
But
and
we
Tom
had some really heavy, we had some crazy, legit heavyweights on those teams.
Yeah, Tom.
So
Tom connected me to Jason McCrimmon, who we saw in episode 1, and apparently coached him and fought him. So, um,
Yeah, I think so.
so
I mean, I coached him later. I played against him. I think he was in a few leagues that I think he played for Brian Gratz, and Gratz was a Penn State alumni, and he would always, before the game said, "Oh man, we need more fans to come to the games. We need fights and this and that." So we'd even stage a few fights. I think I had to fight McCrimmon and a couple other guys, but oh my gosh, they're just big, strong dudes. And I'm old. I don't need to be dealing with that. But anyway, you do what's best for the team. And a lot of times, what we used to say is you don't sell the steak, you sell the sizzle. And the sizzle of hockey is definitely, fighting. I don't think it's as big as it used to be, but, it's definitely there.
yeah, well, and I mean, I want the listeners to realize too that Tom is. You can look at careers. There's photos about it and of him fighting and things, but he's a scorer, and he still is. He's a beer. That's why I call him a beer league legend because he's one of those guys that'll he kind of puts his helmet down a little bit, and once his helmet kind of gets near his eyebrows, you know that he's ready to try to get the winning goal, or we'll play and he'll get 4 or 5 goals or something like that. So he still is a natural goal scorer. I'm sure he's one of my closest friends, so I never want to fight him. Plus, I think he's too tall. I don't think I could reach him. So
Yeah, you
um,
might have to get a step stool.
yeah.
But no, we've been friends for a long time, and I love your heart with hockey and what you've done as a coach and how you've connected so many people and how much you care about your players and your returning players that come back from college, and you're just a great ambassador to the sport, and I'm lucky to call you a friend, and I like the fact that we get together every week to play and enjoy ourselves and go out after and have great stories, and
Yeah.
just build at our house you're Uncle Moj, so it's
Yeah.
it
For
it
the
just shows
listeners,
how
since Tom's older brother Steve, he's got seniority in the Uncle Steve um, title.
category,
So
right.
I'm Uncle Moj, off of my last name Mosier. So no, that's a great compliment, Tom. Thanks so much. And thinking about your career, it's kind of wild because I know you coached, and I know you fought, and I know you scored. But there is one thing I want to ask about. The one aspect of the fighting was who's the 3 toughest guys you ever fought?
uh those are good. I'm trying the 3 toughest. Teague Willits Kelly was tough. um Teague Willits Kelly, Jason McCrimmon, if I actually have a sorry,
It's all right.
Jason McCrimmon was tough. I think we got like double minors looking back on that. But Jason McCrimmon, Teague Willits Kelly. I'm trying to think of another. Who was another guy in Danbury that I used to fight all the time? Toughest guy I really hung out with a lot was Brendan Tedstone. Um, that was a big tough dude. I wrestled him a few times out in the ice, but he's great. He would be a really good guy to have on the podcast. He's the largest player ever to play hockey. So you think of Zdeno Chara was the tallest, but I think Tedstone's 6'6". At one point, he played at 405 pounds.
Did that guy
So
play in Quebec? He played in like a Quebec pro
yeah,
league, right?
yeah, he played in that the senior A league up in what's that called, the LNAH. But he also played in the Danbury League with me, and there was a lot of scraps with him and our team. But I would say he's one of the tougher guys. So Brendan Tedstone, Teague Willits Kelly, and obviously Jason McCrimmon.
Yeah.
Um, all world class people and world class guys, and would be great. Well, you will have several of them on your podcast, but they're awesome.
That's awesome. No, I mean that the big guy. I remember seeing this fight online on YouTube or something, and then I think I mentioned it to you, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I fought that guy," and I'm like, "What?" Because it looks. I mean, talk about the poor equipment manager having to deal with that guy. Because I don't even know if there's equipment that fits that body. He was a
Right.
giant. He's you know like half Thor Bjornsson, the guy that's the world's strongest man or something. He's massive. So
Right.
I can't even imagine
And I
that
don't know. I
guy's
don't
the
know
ice.
technically. I'm trying to think technically if we were just great friends. I know we would travel a lot together. We played together on the same team, and we played against each other. I know there was some scraps and some scrums, but he was definitely tough. But if anything, I'm just really good friends with him. He's a family friend of mine. He lives in Hopkinton, Massachusetts, where they start the marathon, and he's been he's a legend up there. But Brendan Tedstone, if you ever get him on the podcast, tell
All
him
right.
Westy says hello. And
I hope he has a
uh,
larger house to deal with his size.
he's he's actually small now. I think I'm probably bigger than he is now.
Started
But
he started listening to his wife and having some salads and stuff, right? So he's probably
yeah,
thinned down.
we were driving to a game. I was driving with him to a game one time. We were going to Jamestown, New York. We were driving. I had I think I had my work car, and we're um, whatever. It was a weekend. We were going to play, and I was driving, and he said, "Pull over here. I want to get some vitamins." I'm looking for like a vitamin shop. There's nothing around. He's like, "Pull right in here." We pulled in. It was a McDonald's drive-through. I go, "That's your vitamins?" He's like, "Yeah," and he got like a bunch of Big Macs. But he was a funny dude. Really good guy.
That's hilarious. So now we know. Now we know where the size was created by
Yes. Yeah.
by Big Macs. Um,
Right.
that's awesome. No, man, like knowing about your career and getting to have these little chats with you over a soda has been great for me because you always have a good story that, and every time it seems like there's a new one. I know that there's a data. I'd love to know the size of the database of all these freaking hockey stories you have
Right. I'm sure
because
it's
they
pretty
seem
big.
endless.
It's longevity too. And I'm 48. I've been playing so long that it's just part of it.
Yeah, every season there's got to be a few, right?
Right. Exactly.
Um, getting a little more personal about your hockey career and your hockey life. Um, kind of curious to know what has hockey really done for your life
I mean,
personally.
it's literally opened every door. Um, like it helped me, through school. I think one of the hardest things that um, a principal or teacher or parent can say is, for me was if you don't maintain a proper grade point average, you can't play. So it made me want to study more. It made me want to work out more. It made me a better person. Just always wanted to be a leader. I love leadership. I think Stevie Y is one of the greatest leaders. I love Marc Messier and Mario Lemieux. Growing up to see those gentlemen, how they handled themselves, I always wanted to be a leader, and I feel like I am still a leader because of it. And that's helped me. It's helped me with leadership. It's helped me with just structure, and it's just a great sport. It's always just opened up every door for me, and I'm happy to see more open because I just have so much fun with it.
Yeah, and hockey players have a tendency to be better, more approachable, I think, than most people from other sports. I don't know. I've never been a soccer player for 20 years, so I
Right.
can't really compare. But I know most of the hockey people in our lives are pretty great people. So
Yeah,
um,
they're definitely caring. No matter how big and tough and strong they are, they're great deep down.
yeah.
Um, so
That kind of being said, because I know that it's hockey's such a big. I knew that hockey's such a huge part of your life, and I know you've had so many different aspects of it at the pro level, at the coaching level, at the collegiate level, the high school level. But when was it like? When can you like pinpoint a time when you kind of knew you would never walk away from the sport? That it was kind of gonna be stuck to you?
yeah, there was a day I think I was like 12, and I remember my sister taking me to the game, and my mom and my sister came to this particular game. It was in Erie, Pennsylvania, and where the Erie Otters, not where they play, but like where they practiced. And at the time, they had a minor league team there called the Erie Panthers, I believe, when I was a kid. But anyway, that was the ECHL team. Then they went to the OHL with the Otters, and obviously Connor McDavid played there, and they have a lot of history. But anyway, I was 12 years old playing in Erie at a tournament, and something just clicked. My sister remembers it. She told me. I remember like driving home, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're like one of the better players." And it was never like that. It was sort of just um, things just clicked. I don't know exactly what happened. I feel like I moved. I was a defenseman when I first started. I played a little forward here and there, and I feel like playing D helped me become a better forward. If you can make sense of that. But probably then when I started trying different positions, and I sort of found my niche at right wing, and I just knew I fell in love with the game because I felt like I was growing and getting better, and it's addicting when you're like when you're starting to get better and liking it and having fun with it. So
Yeah. No, and I played D when I was in high school as well, and I was younger. But the thing I love about playing D is that, don't get me wrong, I'd rather be the goal scorer. I'd rather be up front. But you as well as I
mm-hmm.
know, when you play D, you can see you're just as much of a watcher as you are a player when you're playing D, and you
Yeah,
get to see a lot of things happen.
100%.
So I think it kind of
And now
changes.
it's even more different with just the skating's gotten so much better, the puck pursuit, and just now the game is just so much more quick. The guys are all big and strong and fast, and if they're not big, they're strong and fast, and then, the skill level is just
And if they're
crazy.
not big,
So
they're wildly fast.
yeah, exactly. And banana hands, like the hands are just crazy. I can't believe how I just shake my head, but I love watching it. It's a great sport. I think it's really they have a good product.
Yeah,
I'm excited about this season. Hopefully,
yeah,
um, we'll have some fun watching hockey and playing.
yeah. No, I mean you got Eric Carlson now as a Penguin, so it's going to be interesting to see not only for the Penguins. I mean, the Eastern Conference is pretty much wide open. I mean, we know probably Carolina and New Jersey are going to be at the top, but other than that, I don't know.
Who knows?
It's really
No, you're
it's
right.
really
It's gonna be
exciting.
fun.
It's exciting. It's nerve wracking for our teams in Detroit and Pittsburgh, but
Right?
who knows?
Yeah, they got some great young players, and it's gonna be fun to watch. I'll watch as much hockey as I can.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's the beauty. It never stops. I mean, it's a bit of our problematic addiction, but we'll call it a healthy addiction, I guess.
Right.
Just a matter of how much time we put into it that or we can put into it. Um,
Sure.
so that being said, so yeah, it's great to know about that switch in Erie when you're like 12 years old. You're like, yeah, this is gonna be it. I'm stuck forever. Um, but and I know you've kind of mentioned people in your life, your brother and things like that. But I'm just kind of curious to specify some of those people that are integral to your hockey life over the years. And of course, I always know it's mom and dad are big ones, but I know that there's got to be some other ones along the way that kind of
Yeah.
pushed you
No.
along.
All those are 100% nails in the head. Like you're hitting the nail on the head. But I think if I look at, there's one guy that taught everybody in my hometown to skate. His name was Kevin Pipp. No kids in the program, but he taught kids to skate. He was awesome. Still a friend to this day. Then the Canadian gentleman that played at Cornell, that moved to Meadville and became a coach, Jamie Plunkett. Um, and then I would go then to Joe Batista at Penn State, and then I played for and coached with Chris Ferriolo in minor leagues, and he always, no matter what, if he ever he was a head coach for a lot of minor league teams. He always would call me first to be his assistant, so I always have to tip my hat to him, and um, you know, just have fun. It was always good to be a part of minor league teams as a coach because it's different. It's not like you coach all the time. It's similar, the actual coaching of it, but there's just a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. It's just crazy.
Yeah,
But we can get into that in another
yeah,
podcast.
yeah,
But
yeah,
at the moment, I would just say Kevin Pipp, Jamie Plunkett, Joe Batista, Chris Ferriolo, and number one overall was my brother.
yeah, yeah. I know. And speaking of your brother, the thing I love about it is that he's kind of because there's an actual article about this calling him the king of Penn State hockey in New York City,
Wow.
which is a funny little title. And I always thought of you kind of that way, but I know that before you and I got more connected that he started kind of a lot of this alumni stuff and a lot of these kind of meetups and connects for Penn State fans.
100%.
So
Yes.
um,
Yeah. No, like I said, he's a great mentor and a great brother, a great friend. He did a lot for a lot of the guys that graduated from Penn State and went on to try their hand at pro hockey. And if they did that, great. If they didn't, he would always invite them to New York to look for a job or shadow him in his job. Or he's just been really a good ambassador. So I sort of um, picked up where he left off, and now I'm doing it a lot. So
well,
yeah.
and for the listeners, Steve is just as much of his goal scorer and a scrappy player as his brother. I think it's definitely a Westfall trait. When before being friends with these guys, I used to have to play against them, and they're both big dudes, so it's like hard to get around them. It's hard to get the puck away from them. They're both such good puck protectors. Like Tom says, maybe that's where Yager got it from. But
I like to think so.
yeah.
But no, we love skating with you now. It's fun to be on the same side.
It's much better because luckily I get to get the passes and just kind of sit there. I get to cross. The whole idea of this podcast, the whole title of this podcast is basically cross ice passes from Tom Westfall when I'm wide open because he's got 3 guys on him in the corner. So I hope you all enjoyed that that great chat with my closest friend, Westy. I hope you understood and can hear and understand how important of a person he is. If you ever come to New York, reach out to him on his Instagram. I guarantee you he'll have a beer with you, and he's got so many stories. He didn't even touch the surface of what he has. Some of them are rated R, so maybe they don't really line up here. But he is truly a legend to the sport, and it's really crucial that I got to show and converse with someone that has had a true life of hockey, and hockey has also given him a lot of true aspects of his life. And hopefully his kids are very small, but hopefully I know he'll be a great coach, and I can't wait to see his kids put on the skates and grab the stick and scoot around, because I know in the Westfall family, hockey's a big important thing, not only for Tom, also for his brother Steve. So it was really great to talk to Tom like this. It was really good to learn new things about him that I had never learned. So hope you all enjoyed that. We're gonna finish with the band that we started with, and we'll finish with this band called River Cult. They're located in Brooklyn. A lot of things call them a psychedelic rock band, but there's a little bit of doom metal in there. There's a lot of differences. So a good friend of mine, Eli, who has found his way back to hockey. He's a Massachusetts kid, so we're definitely gonna honor their band, and hopefully they'll be growing, and hopefully there'll be an album coming out soon. So I hope you all enjoyed that. So that being said, enjoy this episode. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I got it as everyone gets to see this on Sunday. I'm heading to the rink already to coach my second practice in the beginning of this youth season. So we'll talk with you in episode 3. Everyone have a great time. Everyone enjoy, and keep your eye on what's going on in the hockey world, because it's starting to get hot, and it's going to be fun. I can't wait to talk to you guys soon. I can't wait to shoot you a cross ice pass, and we'll talk soon.